When it comes to astronomy, exoplanets are the least talked about, but when they do talk about them, they only mention the popular ones like Proxima Centauri b and Kepler-22. This lack of general knowledge on exoplanets has led to people ignoring possibly one of the coolest exoplanets ever. Felicinium. It was discovered in 2012, but it is only now gaining traction because it may just be similar to Earth, or not. Get your spacesuit ready as we travel into the world of Felicinium. In 2012, a group of scientists noticed the star GJ3470 was wobbling as they used the HARPS telescope to look at it. It was weird to see a star move that way, so there had to be a reason behind it. Something was pulling on the star's gravity. But what could it be? After a while, they noticed the star was also dimming, and that was the answer they had been looking for. The planet was quickly named GJ3470b. Now that the planet had been given a primary name, it was time to understand its orbit, size, atmosphere, and other interesting things about a planet. One of the very first things that scientists discovered about this planet was that it was transiting through the star GJ3740 every 3.3 days, which is what was causing the dimming effect that they were seeing on Earth. So it meant that the planet had a year length of 3 days and 8 hours. A month on Earth is the equivalent of almost 10 years on this exoplanet. Imagine the different kinds of expectations that would be placed on humans if we actually lived there. The amount of time Felicinium required to complete a full orbit across its star is not the only weird and unique thing about this exoplanet. It doesn't orbit along its star equator the same way that the other planets in the planetary system do. Planets orbit in a circular motion along the star's equator, almost directly above the equator of the Sun. The reason for this kind of movement is because planets are formed from a spinning cloud of gas and dust that eventually flatten into a disk. But the Felicinium doesn't follow this method of orbiting. Instead of moving in a circular motion like the other planets in the system, it moves in a straight line. It's on a polar orbit, perpendicular to the Sun's equator, unlike the other planets that are parallel to the equator. Since there is not a lot of information available on polar planets, it's hard to know how Felicinium was formed and why it behaves the way it does. But one thing scientists have been able to ascertain is that the planet is close to its star's orbit because of how short each orbit is. This was able to be deduced because there are some exoplanets that have short orbits like it. An example is 51 Pegasi b, which takes 4.2 days to complete its orbit. Now, although a lot is not known about this planet, astronomers have been able to determine that there are chemical reactions going on in the planet. The atmosphere provides for that kind of environment, and here is everything you need to know about it. Based on the words of astronomers, Felicinium is one of the best spectroscopically characterized among all exoplanets. It simply means that this exoplanet has been extensively studied to the point that we are able to have the basic planetary information we need about it. Felicinium's atmosphere was first observed in 2013 by researchers at the University of Tokyo. They found that the planet's atmosphere consists of hydrogen and helium. This chemical composition means the mass of the atmosphere takes up 5 to 20% of the total mass of the planet. But when you compare that to the mass of Earth's atmosphere, Felicinium is about 0.0001% of the Earth. Mind you, this planet has a very thick atmosphere, but it's still next to nothing when compared to Earth. Besides the thick atmosphere of the planet, scientists also found Rayleigh scattering. Using a large binocular telescope with the LBC blue and red cameras, a team reported the scattering of light on the planet. This claim was confirmed again in 2015 using the Las Cumbres Observatory Global Telescope Network. What was the reason for this Rayleigh scattering, and did it have any impact on the planet? Astronomers concluded that the only possible explanation for the scattering effect on the planet's atmosphere was because of the large volume of hydrogen and helium on the planet. This amount of gas on the planet caused it to be veiled by dense clouds and hazes. Due to this light scattering, it made the planet appear blue to the human eye. This explains why the planet was named Felicinium, which means Siamese sapphire. If you know anything about sapphires, you know they are blue, and the body of this exoplanet looks like a literal gemstone from Earth. As years went by and technology improved, so did the telescopes that were being used to study the Felicinium. In 2017, they found that the primary hydrogen atmosphere had low metallicity. Also, traces of methane and water were found on this planet. 3 years after this finding, a new observation was made. A metastable helium outflow was also detected in the atmosphere, meaning the planet is escaping at a rate of 30,000 to 100,000 tons per second. The planet is quickly losing gas molecules, so it can cease to exist at any point in time, almost like it was never there. And this isn't even where the discoveries end. In 2024, a team of astronomers discovered a haze of sulfur dioxide in the atmosphere of Felicity. It was an indication of active chemical reactions in the atmosphere, which was most likely triggered by radiation from its nearby star. There's a lot going on in Felicity, except life. Scientists have not yet been able to find proof of life on this planet, but they have been able to find the size and radius of this exoplanet. Felicity is considered a hot Neptune, which means it orbits very close to its star with a mass similar to Uranus or Neptune. It has a radius of 4.3 Earth radii, or 27,400 kilometers. When it comes to the mass of this planet, it is determined by the amount of atoms in its atmosphere. Considering it is covered in a thick veil of dense hydrogen and helium, it's no surprise it's as heavy as it is, although it is 13.9 times heavier than Earth's mass. In total, the mass of Felicity is 183 sextillion pounds. So Felicity is an ice giant, just like Neptune. This was determined because of the planet's star, GJ 3470. This star was named Kekusin because of the luminosity of the star and the distance of Felicity from it. The planet's temperature is around 342 degrees Celsius, or 647 degrees Fahrenheit. To put it in context, this planet is a bit colder than Venus, but this is not the most unique characteristic of this planet. Out of all the unique things we have mentioned about the Felicity, the most interesting has to be the fact that it is a hot ice giant. This is quite rare because planets are either hot or cold. What then qualifies this planet to be a hot ice giant? The thing about hot ice giants is that they don't last very long. It's important to note that Felicity is not the only hot ice giant we have found, as there are more like Nui Coata, which is also the brightest known planet. There are not a lot of known hot ice giants, so whenever one is found, they are immediately given a lot of attention since they can quickly lose all their gas molecules and be left as a rocky core. But despite not knowing a lot about hot ice giants, two important things have been discovered through Felicity. The first one is that it transits its star, allowing us to see what kind of light it blocks, giving us access to what is in its atmosphere. And it is 96 light years away from Earth, making it extremely far from us, even if we never find out more about hot ice giants, which is unlikely. At least Felicity has given us good enough knowledge. But with the planet rapidly losing its gas molecules, what do you think can be done to discover more about it before it ceases to exist? Share your thoughts with us. If you are a planet nerd just like us, then hit the subscribe button and share this video with your friends.